Hello, and welcome back to the Bright Light Wellness YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I want to talk about food, and not really what you eat, but other factors in the eating process that actually make a big difference on your digestion, your assimilation, and your body's ability to use and absorb those nutrients. So a lot of us, when we think about, oh, I'm going to work on my gut health, I want to work on my health, I'm going to, it's what am I eating, right? What foods am I eating? And well, what we're eating is important, right? We definitely want to talk about and highlight what we're eating because it does matter. I think the where we eat, the how we eat, the when we eat, and the state of our mindset when we're eating all play a bigger role than we realize. So I want to just focus on a lot of that today. Of course, I do really think what we eat is actually really important. Um, I don't think it's everything. I think health is holistic and a culmination of many things, including our light environment, our nervous system health, our immune system health, our diet, our exposure to non-native EMFs, our circadian biology, the medications we're choosing to engage with. I think health is really, really faceted, factorial. But we do want to talk about other factors, not just what we're eating. We have to go beyond that, right? So again, I advocate for a seasonal, local, ancestral diet. That's my belief on what's best for us. Again, there will be individualization because there's always individualization in any kind of diet and what works best for each individual person. But I think the basis of that, if you're focusing on local, seasonal, and ancestral, that will be really supportive. I do have a very inexpensive ebook and webinar. So it's an ebook that you buy and it comes with a little webinar. It's an hour-long video of me chatting about this, and it gives you like a printable layout of how to implement a seasonal, ancestral, local diet. And upcoming soon, hopefully, I will have a recipe book that's called Ancestrally and Seasonally Nourished, where you can actually have recipes and learn how to implement a seasonal diet. But anyway, I want to talk about some of these other factors that I'm alluding to in this video. And, again, we think about healing and we think about focusing on just what we're eating, like the what is so important, right? The macronutrients, the calories in and out, the what, all of that, right? But that's just really not the whole story. And I know because I've been there and my clients have been there. I've tried all the healing diets, and really putting my emphasis and focus on the what instead of other factors, right? So now, number one, it's where are you eating your food? I mean, not many people think about this, but this plays a major, major role on how we're absorbing, digesting, utilizing our nutrients, our glucose response, all of these things. So an example of this is your glucose response will be very different depending on if you're eating inside or versus outside. Okay. So if you're eating outside under natural light, if you're grounded and you're earthing, touching an earth surface, if you're under natural sunlight, your glucose response, your blood sugar response is going to be much better, right? So if it's the summertime and I go outside, I'm going to eat a watermelon, that's a high glucose food, and I'm outside in nature, grounded, right? Helping balancing my nervous system, helping balancing my cortisol, helping regulate my body, helping to absorb more electrons. I'm under the infrared and the sunlight. Infrared light and UV light both help balance blood sugar. This is going to be a much different response than if I ate that same watermelon indoors, right? Because indoors under artificial lights, okay, that light alone will spike glucose. So if you're eating that watermelon inside, it's going to have a major impact on that glucose response versus eating it outside, okay? When you are eating outside, it helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So you're going to be eating more in this like rest and digest state instead of this like sympathetic dominant state, which artificial lights and non-native EMFs both activate the sympathetic state, right? You're also helping diversify the gut microbiome because you're interacting with the microbes in your environment. But I think the nervous system support here is really great because if you're like sitting outside in nature in a calm, relaxed state, eating your meals, this is going to be huge because In order for us to absorb and utilize our nutrients, right, we have to be in this rest and digest state. We cannot be in the sympathetic dominant state. So it's like also this, like if you're indoors, likely you're like, I know I'm guilty of this. I used to be like doing 8 million other things. Like I'd be like eating on the go, eating in my car, right? This is another example, like rushing and eating on the go and in my car. I'm not going to absorb and digest that, say, peach as well as I would if I sat down in a calm, relaxed state and ate my food. These are totally different experiences, right? And the way that my body's going to utilize that nutrition is going to be totally different. So this is really, really important. Okay. We want to consider these things, right? The where we're eating. Okay. We want to eat in a calm space, preferably outside in nature, and away from technology, because technology is going to interfere, right? This is the how we eat, but we'll talk about that also. But the where is important. Ideally outside in nature. Of course, I can't be outside all the time right now. You can possibly hear there's a thunderstorm going on outside, right? Like, yeah, I have to eat inside. I sit next to an open window, right? I'm not blasting blue light at myself or screens while I'm eating my food because I know the impact of that. Okay. When you eat, right? Now, we talked about where we eat, right? Best to eat outside, best to eat in a calm state, right? But let's talk also about when you eat. So your body is meant to do certain things at certain times. Okay. Digestion is a daytime job. Okay. At different points during the day, the body can better digest carbohydrates. Okay. So digestion is meant to happen during the day. Okay. It's not a nighttime activity. So we need to be eating meals during the day, not at night and not close to bedtime, because this is when your body is meant to do it. Okay. So this is when the when comes in. Now, also, like I said, the body can tolerate carbohydrates at different times of the day. So your body is able to tolerate carbohydrates more like midday on a sunny summer day when the sun is out, okay? Because it has a lot to do with our cortisol response and all of that. And it doesn't really digest carbohydrates as well at night, okay? So this is also something to think about, right? This is the when we're consuming certain meals, right? I advocate for a high protein and fat breakfast, carbohydrates more on midday, and some, at an early dinner. Not eating, leaving time between meals is really important, because first of all, regular mealtime will support digestion. So, because your body's like anticipating it, right? And also cooking your meals and being with your meals also supports it, right? So you need to have regular meal times, possibly 2 to 3 meals a day, more, depending on the season. And then also leaving those 4 hours between meals will support leptin signaling, which is a master circadian and hormone, master hormone, really, that controls a lot of things in our biology, right? But that will support leptin signaling and support a healthy metabolism. So you want to be leaving those time and space between your meals, not snacking so frequently, and also not eating close to bedtime, because eating close to bedtime is going to disrupt your circadian biology. It will disrupt your melatonin. It will activate cortisol. It activates the nervous system when it doesn't need to be. And you're going to be digesting food at the wrong time. We don't want to be digesting at night. We want to be digesting during the day. That's when it is optimal for our body to do that. Now, let's also talk about how you eat. This is also really important, right? Are you rushing when you eat? Are you like rushing through your meals, like scarfing them down because you're busy in between going from this activity to the next activity? Are you eating on the go? Are you eating in your car on the way to work, on the way to practice, to take your kids to practice? Are you multitasking while you're eating? Are you doing work? I mean, I'm guilty of all these things in the past until I understood how dysregulating it all is. But like, are you, multitasking? Are you doing work at the same time? Are you, taking care of your kids at the same time? Like, sit down and really enjoy your meal. Like, take the 15 minutes that it takes to sit down and actually just sit and enjoy your meal. Okay. All of this really impacts your nutrient absorption and the digestion process. Like sitting down and then like thoroughly chewing your food, like we're supposed to chew our food like 30 times before we swallow. It's part of the digestion process. So like, are you like sitting down and actually like chewing your food so you can like get all the digestive processes going, right? This will greatly increase your nutrient absorption, right? And then the next one I want to talk about, is it seasonal and local, right? This is really important. Our gut microbiome is meant to change throughout the season with the sunlight we are exposed to. This is the seasonal and local aspect here. Your body will have a very different ability to digest carbohydrates in the summer versus the winter. Because your body, depending on the light frequencies that your body is coming in contact with from sunlight, your body will make different beneficial bacteria or reduce certain beneficial bacteria that it doesn't need based on the light exposure the sunlight exposure. So in the wintertime, when carbohydrates are not available, it's very hard for your body to digest and absorb, say, really glucose rich or really strong carbohydrates that are grown under strong sunlight. Because our body is not interacting, our skin and our eyes are not interacting with those light frequencies regularly. So our body is not making the necessary bacteria that it needs to digest those foods. It's also a big circadian mismatch. And there's a lot of other factors like the glucose and the deuterium that come in, but it matters, right? Like the reactions to foods that are locally and seasonally grown will also be better than ones that are not. So for example, say you have an allergic or an intolerance to a certain food, more like an intolerance, not an allergy, but an intolerance. If you eat those foods that are when it's local and seasonally appropriate, you may have less of a reaction, right? So this is all really, really impactful as well. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is, what are your thoughts and intentions when you're eating these foods? Are you worried about a reaction, or are you feeling confident in the foods that you're choosing to consume are going to nourish your body? If you go to eat the chocolate and you're like, oh my God, chocolate gives me a reaction, I'm not going to feel good after this, and then you eat, that's what's going to happen. Your mind is important, right? Like if you're like, oh, I can't eat strawberries anymore because I have an allergy to them. This is why I hate food sensitivity tests, because now you're going to have so much fear around like a million foods that you can't eat, when that's not the first step into healing. A food sensitivity is like, you should never do it, honestly, because they're inaccurate most of the time, but it's also just going to create fear. And if you sit down and you focus on all these other things that I'm teaching you, your reactions to food are going to be better. If your thoughts and intentions are that everything that you eat nourishes your body, right? That's going to make a big impact, right? On whether you are going to absorb and digest it. If you have fear around eating that food because you're fearful of a reaction, that is going to not help your body be able to absorb, digest, and assimilate those foods. And you probably will have a reaction, because your thoughts and intentions need to be that everything I choose to put in my body nourishes my body, right? So I hope this is all really helpful, and it helps you go a little bit beyond just like diet dogma, like keto, carnivore, you know, low oxalate, low histamine, autoimmune protocol, whatever you're doing. Like, it's not really about that. It's more about this than it is about what you're consuming. And of course, I think what we're consuming should be highly nutritious, should be ancestral, local, seasonal, should be coming from regenerative farmers that don't add garbage to their food, and should be free of glyphosate and all the things. But I also think too that if you want to go out to eat with your family and your intention is that that food is going to be nourishing, whether it has seed oils or not is not really the most impactful. It's whether or not how you intend for it to be. Now, that shouldn't be your 100%. That should be your 5 to 10% that you go off track. But 90% of the time, you should be doing the right things, right? But the thoughts and intentions on whether or not that's going to be healthy and healing for you, that's huge, right? Because that is going to make more of an impact than anything. That has more of a quantum impact than anything else, right? And again, I advocate for eating a highly nutritious, nutrient dense diet the majority of the time. But it's okay, like, to know that all things can be nourishing to our bodies too, right? Because our thoughts and intentions make a difference. And then the how, the when, and the where also make an impact, right? So I hope this is some good food for thought. If you want to work with me to help support digestion or leaky gut or hormone or metabolism or nervous system or chronic disease in general or health issues in general, I am here for you. I have room for one-to-one client currently right now. And I also have room for personalized healthcare plans. This is a great option because I write you an individualized plan for your nutrition and your sunlight and other detox strategies with a video, right, for you to listen and learn. So you'll get a Google document and you'll also get a video that thoroughly has me explaining your plan, and you get a summer and winter plan because our nutrition, our sunlight exposure, all of our things should be different in summer than they are in winter, right? So you can check out those options, on my website. My website is brightlightwellnesscoach.com, and my Instagram, my YouTube channel, you can follow along there and learn more. And my podcast, the Quantum Connection Podcast. So follow me along on all my socials. And I even have a TikTok now, all the things. Follow me along there. You can learn more information. And yeah, look forward to supporting your health and look forward to helping you grow. So one-to-one coaching and personalized healthcare plans, or grab that, that ebook I have, the Ancestral Diet ebook that can help support you as well. So have an awesome day. And I hope this tips helped you. Please leave me a comment below and let me know what else you want to learn more about, and let me know your thoughts and your feedback. I greatly appreciate that. Have an awesome day.